All right, you guys. So we are now on chapter 3 of Mary Pope Osborne's The Magic Tree House tonight on the Titanic. Remember to look for chapter three's trivia question on our class dojo page. And for 5 extra points, just send me a message with the correct answer so that I can give those to you. All right, let's get started. The Magic Tree House tonight on the Titanic, and the author is Mary Pope Osborne. Today's chapter is chapter 3, SOS. And SOS, we said, stands for Save Our Ship. And it is what is considered a national distress call, meaning that if there is any trouble or you need help, you could just send an SOS to someone, and that means I need help or help me. All right, here we go. Jack stared at the name of the ship. "You know what happened to the Titanic, don't you?" he said softly. Annie nodded. "It hit an iceberg and sank," she said. "But I don't get it. I thought this ship was unsinkable." "That's what people thought when the Titanic was built," said Jack, "but they were wrong." Suddenly, steam gushed out of the ship's smokestacks. Then the engines cut off. The Titanic stopped moving. "We'd better get home," said Jack. "There's nothing we can do here. We'll have to find another lost ship, a safer one." "No, we have to stay and help," said Annie. "We can escape in the treehouse any time we want." "But what can we do?" said Jack. "This ship's going to sink no matter what. We can't change history, and we can't take anyone into our time with us." "Yeah, but maybe there's some way we can help," said Annie. "How?" said Jack. "I don't know," said Annie. "Let's look around." Holding Teddy, she disappeared down a small stairway. Jack followed her to a lower level. Annie put Teddy down on the deck. The dog sniffed the chunks of ice that had fallen off the iceberg. The ship seemed strangely empty. "Where is everyone?" Annie asked. "Maybe they're still asleep," said Jack. "They probably don't even know the ship hit something." Annie and Jack started toward the front of the Titanic. "Come on, Teddy," said Annie. The little dog scampered after them. They passed the round windows of different rooms on the ship. Jack looked through them as they went by. He saw exercise bikes and rowing machines in one room. In another, there were palm trees, bamboo chairs, and tables. Next, they passed a library filled with books. "This ship is like a town," said Jack. And I'm going to stop there because we did talk about how the Titanic ship was one of the first ships that had as many amenities or many things as it did, such as a gym. It was the first ship to have a gym inside of it, and it had very, very many fancy rooms as well. Near the end of the deck, they peeked through another round window. Inside a little room, a man was wearing earphones. Jack heard a clicking noise as the man tapped a lever on a black box. "What's he doing?" whispered Annie. Jack shrugged. Another man stood nearby. He had a white beard and wore a fancy uniform. "Send the international call for help," he ordered the man with headphones. "Tell all ships close by to come at once. We're sinking." "Yes, Captain," said the man. "Great, they're calling for help," Annie whispered. Jack shook his head. "I don't think help will come," he said. He shined the flashlight on the book and found a picture of the radio operator. He read quietly to Annie. "After the Titanic hit the iceberg at 11:40 p.m., the ship's radio operator sent out an SOS. An SOS is the International Distress Signal in Morse code. Unfortunately, the only ship near the Titanic had turned off its radio for the night. All the other ships who received the message were too far away to help. When the Titanic sank around 2:20 a.m., she was all alone. "That's terrible," said Annie. "I wonder what time it is now," said Jack. "I don't know," said Annie. Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote, "SOS sent out. Titanic sinks at 2:20 a.m. "He's leaving," whispered Annie. "Hide," whispered Jack. He and Annie moved quickly into the shadows. The captain stepped out onto the deck. "Tell the men to start loading the lifeboats now," the captain ordered a deckhand. "Yes, Captain," the man answered. The captain and the deckhand left. Annie turned to Jack. "At least that's good," she whispered. "Everyone can get into the lifeboats." "I don't think it's good enough," said Jack. He read from the book again. On the Titanic, there were 20 lifeboats. To save all the passengers, the ship needed twice as many. But with all the confusion on board, a number of the lifeboats were not even full when they left the ship. Many third-class passengers did not have a chance to get into any of the lifeboats because they were on the lower decks and didn't know where to go. Jack wrote in his notebook, "Need twice as many lifeboats." So I'm going to stop right here. Lifeboats are emergency boats that a ship must have in case something happens in order to carry its passengers to safety. In a lifeboat, you load the passengers, and it's a very small version of a boat. You load the passengers and you lower them on the side of the ship into the ocean away from the ship so that they won't go down. In order to save all of the 2,200 passengers that were on the Titanic, it would have needed to have 40 lifeboats. That's twice as many lifeboats as they actually had. As Jack read in the book that he has, this bold lettering right here, this paragraph comes from the book that he's reading. And it says there were 20 lifeboats. So they had 20 lifeboats and they needed 40 to save everybody. So automatically, half of the people that are on the ship are not going to be able to be saved. Not only that, it said with all the confusion, a number of lifeboats were not even full when they left the ship. So a lifeboat can hold up to, let's say, 50 people in one lifeboat. And some of the lifeboats that were being released only had 10 or 12 people. And all that space was just empty where other people could have gotten on. So Jack writes in his notebook, and we can tell that he's writing because of the pencil writing right here, "Need twice as many lifeboats." "Hey, I know what we can do to help," said Annie. "What?" asked Jack. "We can help someone find the lifeboats," she said. "You're right," said Jack. "With our book, we can find our way to a lower deck." He turned the page to a map of the ship. He and Annie studied it. "We'll start at the grand stairway," said Jack. He traced a path with his finger. "Then we'll go down to the third-class cabins this way." "Good plan," said Annie. Jack looked back through the door. The radio operator was still tapping out his message over and over and over. "SOS," whispered Jack. He took a deep breath. "Okay," he said, "let's go." That is the end of chapter 3 of the Magic Tree House Tonight on the Titanic. Remember, I will be putting a trivia question on our class dojo, and for 5 points, just message me the correct answer.